And there's just different ways to teach different people, and that's the hardest thing to come across, especially when explaining things like a card game, because people have different backgrounds.
Moving forward, do you think you're going to be staying with Steel Song?
Set 3, which I think is really good for the game, just a lot more interaction pieces. And
Steel Song doesn't work anymore. It's just not as consistent as you want it to be.
It's hard to go against what you're comfortable with or what you like.
If you win again, it would be a banger episode for everyone. How's it going, everyone? My name is Earlmeister, and this is the Lormeisters podcast. For this week's episode, we have an ultra megatonic top-tier card gamer as a guest. This is no other than Brennan DeCandio. Brennan is a 34-year-old pro card gamer who lives in Tampa, Florida, and was originally from Long Island, New York. He's been married for 3 years now and has a 5-year-old daughter. He also works as a business analyst for an undisclosed company. He's been playing games since he was a kid, starting from the 90s, Pokemon, and Magic the Gathering from 2002 till now. He also plays other titles like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and Dragon Ball Super TCG. He's also worked in game design on Eternal card game for the year 2018. Now plays Lorcana. He's been in 9 pro tours for MTG, but mostly focused on the Star City game tours, where he is one of the only 3 people to win back-to-back in those events. Overall, he has 3 wins with the highest top 8 conversation rate of any players while active. He made countless of friends and connections over the years playing games and was very grateful for all the support. His hobbies other than gaming are cooking, gardening, and home improvement projects. All right, everyone, I just wanted to apologize really quick because the first 5 minutes of the video was had technical difficulties. There was corrupted parts of it, and it makes it very unwatchable. So I decided to just cut it instead of let it play and then me trying to fill in the spots. All right, so right now, we're gonna talk about Steel Song really quick because this is the ultra megatonic deck that you brought in to win Thea's event last week, and I was thinking about this deck when I look at it, and you have 2 cards here that a lot of people won't agree why you added them. And I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure you're aware of this already. I'm talking about Lantern and Stitch. What is the idea behind that? Like, a lot of people, if I bring that into a conversation with competitive players, they will totally shut me down and just say it's a bad card, don't run it. What was going on in your head when you did that?
Yeah, so first with Lantern, one of the more popular cards that have kind of come to the metagame recently has been Medusa, the 6-cost Ruby 4/4 in stats. And that thing takes out pretty much every 5-cost threat you have, Beast, Tragic Hero, Robin Hood, and it hits Stitch as well. So my thought was I wanted to just be ahead of that curve so that even when going second, I get a Beast out on my turn 4. They get their turn 5 back. They don't have the ability to play Medusa, and I at least get 1 card back out of my Beast, and I can deploy another threat, and they still can't be prepared me that turn. So it's a kind of way to keep pace even when going second, and also propel yourself very far ahead when going first. And it's pretty important to not to kind of have your deck be like a kind of well-oiled machine. I think with Amber Steel, you kind of just are churning through, and you want to keep doing robust things, and after every wheel you want to bare necessities or be prepared out of their hand and keep going, and it just helps you go bigger and faster. And Lantern's a big part of that. Games when you do have Lantern going second, they're kind of like going first. When you have them going first, kind of like you're going, they're going third, not just second. So it's certainly a card that I understand people's skepticism of it. I tried Pluto. I kind of made an analogy for people know what these cards are in Magic. Pluto's like a lotus petal. It's like a one-time effect of a ink versus Lantern, which is basically an extra ink all the time. And that's my experience playing with them. So I favored Lantern, and I'll play it again if I'm playing Amber Steel again this week. But Stitch, it's just one of my favorite cards, probably character-wise, and specifically Rockstar is one of my favorite cards in the game. It's still just as good as it kind of ever was. There are certain cards which match up better against it. It can't go as far as wide. Medusa being one of the reasons. You can kind of just kill it, and it's a 6 cost, so even lanterning it going first, you only get the 1 turn, and on going second, you don't get ahead at all. But it plays really well with bare necessities, and the fact that you can just kind of in the mid game when you have maybe say 9-10 ink, play it out, play 2 or 3 things, draw into a bare necessities, tag be prepared from their hand. Well, now they can't answer everything. Maybe they can Medusa the Stitch, but they can't hit everything, and you need a board presence at all times with this deck.
Yeah.
So I like it. And another part of the deck is that there's a bunch of different shift lines. There's the Robin Hood shift line, there's the Cinderella shift line, there's Stitch shift line. And later in the game, sometimes you just hold a couple of them for certain turns, and not even with a Rockstar in play, but just with the 1-cost Stitch, you want to be able to threaten additional lore on each of your 1-cost characters by having something to shift on top of at any point. So they have to respect each of them. They can't just deal with 1 or 2 of them, all 3 of them. They have to kind of deal with. I did this in set 1. I played. There was a invitational tournament in Caldwell, Ohio by Apex Gaming. We played an Amber Sapphire deck that kind of was just like Ramp, Rapunzel, Hades, Belle, Stitch, all these things. And I only had maybe 7 or 8 characters that actually would trigger Stitch and play the Rockstar to draw cards off of. But what I did have was 3 copies of Hades. And if my Rockstar got either discarded by a wheel earlier on from my opponent, the Whole New World, or if it had just been traded with earlier, I wanted every 1-cost Stitch that was in play to threaten additional lore with a Hades that could bring one back from my banner stone.
Yeah.
So I wanted to always be something they had to think about, because in that event we got to know what you were playing ahead of time. So that being a threat and being able to threaten additional lore in a deck that can't gain lore outside of questing is a big deal. And while it might not always be right, I liked it. I did shave from 4 to 3, so it wasn't as prominent a game plan I went for a lot of the times. But when it worked out, and I liked it. It could change from week to week. Maybe it's not right this weekend. It was good last weekend, but we'll see.
That's a really interesting take on Rockstar Stitch a lot. I previously mentioned that I watched your game, and I didn't notice. I did notice that I would pause the game and then think about like what you're gonna do, and I usually would always get it wrong. And there are times where you could have shipped this Stitch and you didn't, and that always like makes me think. I wanted to like dissect the way you like think to find out why. And you were explaining it as you go through, but it's still really hard to comprehend why. But obviously you are 10 steps ahead, like when it comes to those plays, and it really scares me when you do that. It looks so wrong, but once you watch the plays happen, it looks so right.
Yeah, it's also kind of funny when I can sometimes go back and watch from my opponent's perspective. I'm like, was I right to do this? And I'm like, yes, I was. Okay, good. Because it's not always right, and sometimes doesn't always work out either. But it's just finding those tension points and not letting yourself lose certain areas of tempo, meaning board presence or the ability to continue to do things. Because Steel Song is really just about continuing to press an advantage. I mean, Aerial Singer is one of the key cards because it lets you get ahead of ink. It's 3 cost, you get to sing 5. So you get, invest 3 now and keep churning through different, ink costs of songs over and over again. So it's about staying ahead and making sure that when you play certain cards out, you're not playing into what they're able to do to catch back up. Like certain times where I would kill maybe something irrelevant that cost 4, like a Jafar maybe that cost 4, or a rabbit against, I think, the Jafar wheel deck. Like I killed a rabbit and like I could save my removal for Jafar later, but like this is in play. But I can't let them play a 5 cost and sing Zeus's Lightning. I can't let that be what their turn is about. So I have to throw away a card that would be better later to make sure that my thing sticks around. Or if they want to give me the turn back, essentially by using their whole turn to kill my develop, I can stay ahead by presenting the next threat. Yeah. So it's a whole back and forth, and Stitch is good, and Lantern helps you kind of get ahead of that curve, so you're always in the driver's seat really for it, and that's a lot of what this game's about, is maintaining the driver's seat. Yeah, it's really good, and it's really hard to do as well.
And I mentioned this on my previous videos before. I made a mid-range deck video. Being a mid-range player is just really, really hard. It's the highest skill required to play it in a really, really, really good level. And you have, what do you call this? You have showed us that skill of maintaining card advantage and tempo in the board. You're always winning the game of resources against your opponent, and that is really, really, really impressive.
It's all about velocity, keeping that going, and yeah, certain cards kind of take that away from you. Like Be Prepared certainly lets your opponent have some of that back, but you try to mitigate that with bare necessities and things like that. But yeah, it's a big part about this deck specifically in this game. Other games play mid-range decks out a little bit differently. They have more ways to come back and forth. This one's more about just continuously churning and pressing forward, while being resilient. You know, not just able to fold over to one or two pieces of interaction. So yeah.
One thing that I wanted to ask as well, before you went into mid range, you play mid range in what do you call this, in Disney Lorcana. Mm-hmm. And when you were playing Magic as well, when you started playing card games in general, were you always been a mid-range player, or is this something that came to you that after years of playing, you are now a seasoned card gamer, you have so much experience, you have so much knowledge, and now you're just choosing mid-range because you know how flexible mid-range can be, and like what I said, it takes a lot of skills to do that and experience? Or is it something that you just like, yeah, mid-range is my thing since the beginning?
It's both, I guess. I've always kind of enjoyed being able to play most given games I'm playing. I don't like to have non-games. I don't like to have games where like, oh, they had the, in Magic sometimes the grab your swords cost 3 instead of 5 in that kind of game. So like, I don't like to be the one who just like, oh, I played all my aggressive threats out and they all died, and now I just
now you're done for.
Or I didn't play enough of them early and I didn't have it and I lost because of that. And I'm like, well, that's not really, I don't get enjoyment out of that kind of decision process really. So I like to be the one who is more in the middle and can have play against most everything. That definitely will get you into some sticky situations and some traps when deck building. It's not always a good thing when something's clearly the best thing to be doing, or you need to adapt to a different format because of a new set that came out or something like that. So it's always good to be adaptive, but that's what someone who enjoys playing mid-range is. They like to adapt. So yeah, it's worked out over time, but I've been playing Magic for, I don't know, 20 something years now, 23 years. I don't know.
Jeez.
So a long time. I'm old. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a deck that requires so much critical decision making, and it can easily backfire on you when you make a decision. And the thing is, like, it's hard to like predict what's going to happen on the next couple turns unless you have enough experience or knowledge on what your opponent is playing as well, right?
Yeah, you have to. That's really finding the tempo lines, like where the tension lies in the game itself, like where the tension of the game is built around is a big part of that. So it changes from game to game and what you're playing against and how your cards interact with theirs. And there are certain times where, just because I'm going second, like I'm not, and they played a Minnie Mouse against red purple, like I'm just not going to play my 1-cost cards on turn 1. I'm just going to wait to play 2 of them until turn 2. Because I can't churn one thing at a time. Like they have teeth. I don't want to take away their ink from turn 2. I want to take it away from turn 3 if they don't have anything to do it. Like I want them to use that turn to interact with me, not their second turn, because that's more inconvenient for them. So it makes their turns more awkward. Yeah. So I call it stealing mana, and I do it. I try to do it a lot when I play.
That is such a 5-head play, man.
it's hard to like. I've done that in Magic where there's a card, Magic Llanowar Elf. It's like a Pluto from this game, where like my opponent went first. They played you can interact on your opponent's turn in that game. There's like a 1-cost removal spell they can play, and I just had it going first, or I was going second, and I just like didn't play my thing turn 1. I just said go, and they played their 2-cost card, and then I played my 1-cost card, and I wanted them to use their third turn to not deploy a certain threat that I didn't want to have to play against. Fable of the Mirror Breaker for those who play Magic. It's very popular 3-cost card that should probably not be legal in some formats, but then they couldn't play that card because they have to deal with my 1-cost accelerant because they didn't want me to play a 4-cost card. So like the tension shifted on that turn by just not doing certain things. So making your opponent do things they don't want to do is a good thing to do in this game. And that's what I try and translate over here. It works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't.
It's even scarier there because, like what you said, in between turns you can respond to your opponent. I think it's much easier on Disney Lorcana in terms of they can't really interact with what you were doing right off the bat while you were doing that. They have to wait for their turn to do that. Yeah. But yeah, moving on to the next one.
And
I just wanted
there's just different ways to teach different people, and that's the hardest thing to come across, especially when explaining things like a card game, because people have different backgrounds of like what games they played before and how they relay those skills to other card games into Lorcana. So it's kind of hard to find like, all right, where are you to begin with, and how can I relate that to you, like this concept that I'm trying to get across, or why I'm doing something, like where can you kind of branch off to meet me where I'm at, to an understanding, or maybe I can reflect a bit and find out that I might be wrong too, which I'm always willing to be wrong. So that's my thing.
Yeah, it's good to do that. We learn from our mistakes. My next question, I wanted to ask, moving forward, do you think you're going to be staying with Steel Song? Do you think this is a deck that you're going to keep mastering, you're going to keep on refining as the time goes, or are you more of like a player like, okay, let's look at the meta and let's look at what is the best thing to play for this meta?
Both. So I would like to play the same style of deck because I'm more familiar with it. I think now I played variations of it since the game came out, but also there's so much retrofitting you can or cannot do within archetype or just color pair. There's only so many cards legal. There's still, even though it's a big card pool now, even though we have 3 sets, it's still not the biggest range of card flow, because I like to think of set 1 was kind of like a whole starter deck in one set, where like it just, here's just how the game works. And then set 2 we got a little bit more. Now we're getting set 3, which I think is really good for the game. Just a lot more interaction pieces and a lot more play to the back and forth of the game that can exist. Even though some cards are very much a runaway cards where they take over the game, or there's no way to interact with them since you can't interact in your opponent's turn. But no, I'm trying to retrofit the deck to what I expect the metagame to be. However, if things change and I've tried and I can't make it work, I'm willing to change. But my goal would be to stay similar, because especially if people are trying to follow you in that sense and play the same deck you're playing, well, if you think you're more well versed in it than they are, then you might have an advantage playing against them. So that could be the case too. But I like to stick with what I'm familiar with, but I'm willing to change. We'll
nice. See. If you did change, what is the deck right now that you think that has a lot of potential, or something that you would like to play if, let's say, Steel Song doesn't work anymore? It's just not as consistent as you want it to be. What would be the deck that you think you would hop onto?
I think one of the default best decks is the Ruby Amethyst. It has a lot of game against everything. It's just a card draw engine. It draws cards and it kills characters. That's what that deck does. It does it better than anything else, almost. In every case, it's like the most well-rounded in that. That's a good one. I really liked some of the Jafar Steel Amethyst decks I've been trying out. I haven't quite gotten them to where I like as far as consistency and ways to maneuver around certain matchups. But even if I do all this, the kind of overall mid-range style of play might not be good because people react to it in some ways. Like the Ruby Sapphire decks kind of go way over the top with the Lucky Dime and Tamatoas and things like that. So I'm still kind of up in the air. There's an event on Saturday. I'm not sure what I'm playing 100% yet. It's the 14th right now, but on the 16th, Tea's doing another event, so I'm going to try to play that, and I'm not certain where I'm going yet with that. So we'll see. I've had some people in my ear. Some people are going to Georgia for, I think there's like an 8K in Georgia event, and some people are driving up to that. I'm not driving right now, but yeah, no, it's we'll see what I'm playing. I'm not certain, but I'm always looking forward to trying out new things. And it might be Ruby Amethyst, it might be Jafar Steel Amethyst deck, or it might still be Amber Steel, and I still like it and I'm familiar with it. So just some tweaks maybe.
It's really good to play what you enjoy, especially when it works. And also, even if it's not like from my experiences in other card games, even if it's not the top deck, which we all know, usually the meta or the meta spread right now is Ruby Amethyst, right? There's just so many of it. So that is like the deck to beat because it's consistent, and at the same time, like what you said, it's so well-rounded, it's really good, and you usually play against that or build your deck against that. But it's nice to play something that not you just not enjoy, but something you're comfortable with. Because like sometimes I feel like if you force yourself into like playing, let's say that Amethyst Purple becomes Ultra Megatonic meta. I am not an Ultra Megatonic what do you call this, mid-range player. If I decide to play that. Yeah, it is a grind. Yeah, it's there's a lot of learning and practice that goes to it. And if I play that just because it's tier 1, I probably will do worse with a tier 1 deck than I would if I play something I'm comfortable with tier 2.
No, absolutely. There's something to playing a tier 2 deck at 95% versus playing a tier 1 deck at 60%. There, that is certainly something I've considered over the years when playing multiple card games. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not going to make the right decisions. I'm not going to know where the tension points are, and where things turn a corner, or where I'm trying to get to. So that's certainly, I would advise playing something you're more comfortable with, other than jumping to a meta deck last minute, unless you're comfortable with that as well. If you think it's the best and you just really want to play something else because it's your pet deck, but you also know something's really good, you've had reps with that, sure. But it's hard to go against what you're comfortable with or what you like.
Yeah, I agree. Thea's tournament is the Saturday. If you guys, well, this is, I was gonna say, if you guys don't know about it, sign up. But usually they do it like every couple of weeks. So sign up on the next one if you guys haven't yet. This is gonna be aired on Sunday, so it's a day after the tournament starts, which would be cool. If you win again, it would be a banger episode for everyone to see. And yeah, that's exciting times. I'm actually going to join it as well. I've been performing consistently in it, but the last tournament, I was 5-3. I lost my last match. If I won that, I could have joined the top 16. The one before that, I was top 12 on the thing, but they didn't do the top 16 yet. They only did top 8. So I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to. Most, I guess Magic is always top 8, but top 16 is what the Swiss is technically designed to do. But yeah, I think it might be top 8 tomorrow or on Saturday, the 16th. Yeah, but I think it's 9 rounds regardless. So I think there might be an extra round, but top 8, which makes sense. But no, I've already gotten the go-ahead from Jeebus to win the event as long as there's a pass-down system for the invite. So he's like, you can get first, I'll just get second. I'm like, okay.
That's funny. Yeah, it's really tough when it's tough a top 8, because there's a lot of great players out there, and usually it ends with what do you call that? A tiebreaker, and you get like 15 7-2s. And only one or two of them can make it. And yeah, it's nerve-wracking.
Technically the Swiss is designed to ensure that anyone at the end of how many rounds designated per entrance have only one loss or better are guaranteed to make the top 8. That's the only thing Swiss is ever designed to guarantee. It's not meant to guarantee anything for X1-1 or X2. It's only meant to guarantee X1 or better. And that just can't happen. So like the X1 or better, X1 always will make top 8 of a Swiss event. Beyond that, it's up to how the tournament actually run. So, but we'll see. I mean, if it's top 16 again, cool. That's, I think, more fun for Sunday viewership. You get to see an extra round of people play, and there's more people, so you can root for more people. So that's probably what I would do. And it's more fun to just have more games to play on Sunday. So
yeah,
my figures.
I hope the circuit at least do top 16. For me, at least, it's just more fun to see more names who makes it on day 2 or day 3 with that many people, but it could also like prolong the show and stuff like that. So yeah, it's super nerve-wracking, which is the next question that I'm gonna have is that, do you have any rituals before you join any tournaments? Do you go on like a specific diet? Do you have any like physical like thing that you do? What is the mindset before going into it? I think this is something that our viewers would want to know. How it goes for a top caliber player before they start playing in a competitive scene.
So for in-person events, I know the morning of I always stretch, just to, because I'm going to be sitting down all day. I'm not going to be, thrilled to be sitting down at the end of the day, and it's just good to stretch, and it keeps, oxygen in your body or whatever. I try and avoid coffee the best I can, just because it gives you the jitters and it's a long day. So I have somewhere around here, might be downstairs, but I have like a water jug that's supposed to be 64 ounces, for the whole day, and I always have that filled whenever I travel for an event. But at home, it's a little bit easier at home playing an online event, because I can just do those things when I feel like I need to, versus I don't want to be stretching in the middle of a convention hall floor. I will, but I don't want to all the time.
Yeah.
But no, that's the biggest thing. Water, avoid the coffee, maybe have a banana just to get something good in your body. And usually I don't like to play any games the day before of the game I'm playing. I'd rather do anything else. So like for the Pro Tour that was in Chicago in February for Magic, I think I submitted my deck list on the Monday before the event. They were doing Wednesday, and I just didn't play a game till like Friday when I had to start playing. So just change your mindset. There's only so much prep you can do, and at that point, it's just kind of let the cards fall where they may, and don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The last part that you said, that you don't play, or you usually don't play the day before the tournament, because in a lot of competitive scenes, not just card games or even performance with musicians and stuff like that. Or for me, I used to be a musician before I got married. That's one of the things that I do as well. And a lot of athletes out there do as well, is that they don't do what they're gonna do for the tournament the day before. They usually get their mind off of things, and I believe a lot of chess players do this as well. Like a weekend before, even that they would stop training or overthinking it, because there's, like what you said, there's only so much that you can do, right, to prepare for the matchup, and they come in fresh in the tournament, and it works for a lot of top players and top athletes.
Yeah, I had an interesting reason for doing that. Not really the same, but I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan forever. Watched it since I was like 6 or 7, and during like the Cell Saga, I don't know if I'm just talking to the wind right now, or if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I watched Dragon Balls at least 10 times in my life.
Yeah, I watch it like once a year just because it's fun. But there's the gap period of time after they get out of the hyperbolic time chamber, where Goku just like, let's just go do stuff for like a week, like up till the Cell games, and him just like go on, just like go do stuff. And there's episodes I'm like, hey, just like there's nothing more I can do, just like relax, and we'll deal with it when we get there. But like that was something that was kind of stuck with me as a kid, and I've kind of tried to do the same thing whenever I have something big to prepare for. Like I'm not the one to study a ton before a test. I kind of like, I either know it or I don't know it at this point, and that's worked out in life pretty well. So
yeah,
I don't know, relax your brain. You can overwork your brain, and I definitely feel like I did in that event I played in. And I feel like if I did a bunch of prepping the day before or like the morning of, I would have probably gotten fried to the point where I wouldn't be able to make some of the plays I ended up making that won. So yeah,
nice.
Relax.
Yeah, that's really cool that you got that from Dragon Balls. I myself, I watch a lot of anime growing up. Well, I was born in Philippines before I moved to the United States. We didn't have a choice because the TV channels usually would have anime at a certain time in the day, and it's the only thing that we can watch. And Dragon Balls was one of them, and that is why throughout the years, after they play it, they would take a rest for like a year and then replay the whole thing again. And we watch it over and over again. And by the way, rest in peace to the creator of Dragon Balls. He recently passed.
Toriyama, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he left a really, really cool legacy behind him. And yeah. I was just gonna mention like a lot of like my way of thinking came from these anime. The way I push myself, it's an inspiration for me. And sometimes I get made fun of it or for it, but it's like, bro, like I'm pretty sure that there is a show or there's a movie that has inspired you before. Why would you like think that anime is less? They're both just storytelling, just different ways of storytelling, right?
Oh, absolutely. I like all forms of storytelling. It's just fun to feel things and immerse yourself in different worlds, and yeah, just another form of art. So it's fun to see all interpretations of what can be a similar kind of canvas.
Yeah. So. All right. I think we've spoke about a lot of serious stuff already when it comes to competitive gaming and card game. I want to have a fun segment with you as well.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, we're going to go into a couple of fun segments. This one, I call it the Ban the Cards segment. So there are 6 inks in Lorcana. I'm going to mention an ink, and you pick one card that you think you want to ban in a competitive scene, or maybe you just have a real hate for the card. That's totally fine as well. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be for competitive, but you only have 10 seconds to answer it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're gonna start with Are you ready, by the way?
Can we talk about it afterwards then? I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So
okay, cool.
After we do the 10 seconds, we usually would do a recap of why that card. So we're gonna start with Amber. Amber, 10 seconds go.
Probably Rapunzel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, Amethyst, go.
Amethyst has got to be Mim Fox, the 4/3 rush.
Oh, okay.
That one's too good.
Yeah, I agree. Number 3, Emerald, 10 seconds go.
Emerald. Nothing. I don't know. It's fine. If I had to do something, oh gosh, I can't think of a card in Emerald that I really don't enjoy playing against. Maybe Mother's best because it's obnoxious sometimes, but like it's not a good card. I don't know. Maybe that. Go with that. Sure.
Mother knows best. Okay. Number 4, Ruby, 10 seconds go.
Maui.
Number 5, Sapphire, go.
Fishbone Quill.
All right. Number 6, Steel.
Whole New World.
Okay. Yeah. Those are really fair answers in my opinion.
Yeah. Emerald, I don't think anything needs to be touched, but I think that the play experience of Mother Knows Best is not fun. Yeah. But it's a fine card. Like if you've played Hearthstone, you've played against the card Sap when it was first legal in Rogue, and you know, just pick your thing up that you want to like kind of sit there and do things. It dissuades the kind of cards that are really good for games, the ones that don't have an ETB and don't have haste or whatever it is. Like when you play them, they don't have an effect that you want to survive for a turn and start doing stuff with. It kind of dissuades you from playing with that. So I don't really like that card because of it, but it's not too good. It just
I used to be okay with Mother Knows Best. Now that Ursula is around,
it's fine.
And when it gets Sing, and it's double return, I think that one hurts a lot when it happens. It really sucks when it does happen.
Yeah.
And we have Rapunzel. Yeah.
And that one's just really good on rate. It's hard to make a card with that effect similar without just not being worse. And if you make a card better than that, that's really too bad. That's not a good thing to do. So like you free up some space to make cards a little bit worse, but still not quite as good and playable in different veins. That card doesn't exist. It was more of an issue like in set 1 than now, but that card's fine to exist, oddly. But I think Amethyst is fine to I don't know, there's things I might change, but nothing I would get rid of banning wise. But
this is like what I said. This is just a for fun segment, like a thing.
The other 3 though.
Yeah, the Fox. I 100% agree with that. It's such a strong card.
That card's the best card in the game. I think it's better than anything else you can play, and it only doesn't look like that because we've come accustomed to building our decks to play around that card. But that card's the best card in the game. It probably could have one less willpower and be fine, but at 4-3 is just
It's obnoxious.
It's just too much, and it shouldn't. I don't know. I think that they thought that the bounce effects were downsides.
Yeah,
which they're just not. So
yeah, the way
I
I
think
look,
that's an oversight.
the way I look at it, it's a better way to shift things because the card bounces back to you instead of like risking two cards on top of each other. The other thing gets bounced to you, and now you can ink that, and it's a better shift in my opinion. That's the way I look at like bounce, but there's more that you get because cards return, and usually those are early game cards that you can use as an ink.
Why does it have a third willpower? Why is it inkable? Why does it have rush? I don't know. None of those things. But hey, I didn't work on this game, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that even if you didn't work on this game, 99% or maybe 100% of the community would agree with that reasoning. With Ruby, Maui, yeah, that's a pretty good pick too.
It's the same vein as Rapunzel, where it's like there's enough room for cards to be not quite as good as this card, but I don't think you can make anything better ever than that. They just set the standard, and it's like, for Magic the Gathering, it's like they made Ancestral Recall. You can't really make a better draw card effect than 1 mana draw 3. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So like, why would you, with Maui, make the best rush card you could possibly have with incredible stats? Like, again, probably a card, if you took most rush cards, if you take a 1 willpower off, you're probably fine. And I think that's 6/4 is okay.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm not saying the ripple effects it could have if you do that with other cards being too good or not, because it is a good thing to keep things in balance. But it's a very depressive card, and every Ruby deck's probably going to play 4 forever. So,
yeah.
Or at least until it rotates, or if they do that, who knows? And yeah.
Yeah. It's just a straight up answer. There's so much value that you can get for it. It definitely 100% against most bodies that are 5 or lower, even 6. You can just trade with it, and that's value for or not trade. Remove the opponent's card, and that's value for you already because they have to spend another card to remove your Maui.
Yep.
And yeah,
for sure. It definitely crosses that line for me. And the last card I think is the card that gets called for being banned the most in the game is A Whole New World.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, if I had to pick one from CL it would be, but I think they've built the game engine around being like that card being okay. And Pokemon has had that forever. They've had, Professor Oak type effects forever, and they've kind of built it around it. This game is not the same because there's resources with it, but it definitely is a card that you can't make a better version of. You are always going to have to think about it, and leads me to believe they're going to make this game have a rotation of some kind, because that card existing forever is just not okay.
Yeah.
Like, where it makes it so that you don't care about much of anything other than how efficient you can do things, because you don't care what it is. As long as you have more of it than your opponent, it doesn't matter. And because you just immediately hit the reset button back to square zero. So
yeah,
you could probably ban it. It might make certain decks way too good right now, but I think they could do some balancing over the next year that would make it so that once that card's removed, there won't be like a power vacuum for certain colors, like steel, everything. Steel wouldn't just be a complete power vacuum. If it didn't exist, they'd have something else to kind of fall back on. But we'll see. Yeah. We're not there yet, I don't think. I think we still need it for now to deal with some of the power level of cards that exist in the game from the first set and second set. But we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like if Steel Song didn't have that, it's gonna be much weaker than it is now. And I feel like the only color that would run Steel from there, well, green Steel is working as well, but the only thing that could replace that draw engine would be purple. It's the only thing that can somewhat match what the wheel is doing at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite. I think wheel actually keeps purple in check in some way than the other way around. I think that wheel is an equalizer, but purple, it's undoing all the advantage that the purple card, that the Amethyst cards have. Like, because nothing can match that level of card draw. Nothing can match, being able to pick stuff up from Mim after trading off for value, or Friends on the other side being free. Pot of Greed from Yu-Gi-Oh from years back.
Yeah,
the rabbit in 2 cards and it makes every one of your bounce effects 2 more cards. Like that kind of incremental advantage invalidates so many cards in the game that wheel being a reset button lets some of those cards exist still because they probably cost 5 and they sing it. So they're walking tightrope with the balance there, I think, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's too early right now, but I feel like we're in a really, really good spot on set 3. I think the release of set 3 made a lot of decks playable, which is what I wanted to see when set 3 came. A lot of people are like panicking right away on set 1 and set 2. They're just like, yeah, there's only like this deck or that deck that's really good. But we have to understand that every card game, when it's new, when it just starts like that, there's always going to be a small pool, and there's only so much that you can do with a small pool of cards, right? And set 3 was the missing recipe because like they also planned this together. They didn't create it all at the same time, but it was all planned together. And now we see their vision of like what the game is going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I think right now every color is viable to play with some pair or another. Some colors may be more popular to pair with. I would say probably steel and amethyst are the 2 most popular color pairs. Not them together, but like with other colors to go with them. Ruby being the 3rd because of Be Prepared mostly. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see. I think there's a couple of cards they could have done made a little bit better that would have helped Emerald earlier on. But that's just nitpicking at this point. So
yeah. All right. This is the last segment that we're going to do. It's another for fun segment. This is more of like getting to know you with Lorcana. It's another 10-second segment. There's only 5 questions on this. It's the favorite card segment. So the first question is, what is your favorite character to play? You have 10 seconds to answer.
Stitch Rockstar.
Stitch Rockstar. Nice.
Yeah, I love Stitch.
The next one is your favorite character art.
Character art. Ooh. I'm trying to think right now. I can't tell you my favorite art right now.
Not including Enchanteds.
I don't really like shiny cards, oddly. I would probably have to go with Aladdin, the 7-cost shift Aladdin. I like Aladdin a lot. Maybe Peter Pan. I don't know. The Enchanted Peter Pan is cool, but no Enchanteds, then sure. Probably Aladdin.
Aladdin. Okay. Well, because that's the following question is your favorite Enchanted.
The Peter Pan one. I like the art style that they use for this set for some Enchanteds, and it's just really cool. I have a whole thing with Peter Pan because of what he kind of emanates and all the stories behind what Peter Pan really is, and it's kind of odd, but I don't know. He's like supposedly the angel of death, and he carries it. That's why they never grow up.
I read about that.
That's been since like the 40s. That's been like a thing like that. They've had theories behind of who he really is, and you know, the Captain Hook's actually like a parent who was able to make it to the other side to try to get their kid back, kind of thing, but then lost themselves along the way because they can't exist in there being alive. So there's a lot of stuff.
That's giving me chills, like talking about that.
And all the mer people that are there too. And those got some cross referencing for storylines in Disney too. So
yeah. I sometimes read about those online, and they trip me out, man. I'm just gonna be honest. It's so trippy to like read about those things, and we'll never know as well if it was intended to be like that. It's gonna be a mystery forever. But it's cool to see or listen to other people's theory when it comes to that type of stuff. The next one, and I just want to follow up on the art that you said with the Enchanted. I not only for Peter Pan, I like that they had a theme going for the Enchanteds on set 3 instead of different arts for every single one. Yeah.
It's cool to make a set feel more like a set.
Yeah.
Doing things like I've seen card games where the border is changed color, and I don't really like that kind of thing, but like the theme of the art style is really cool to have them change. And I'm a fan. So
yeah. The fourth question is your favorite song card, whether to play or just a favorite song card.
I like Be Prepared the most, but I don't like the card. I like the song because I like Scar, because he's the villain that just gets it done. He's just long live the king and then throws him off. Just done.
Yeah.
So I like him as a villain, and I like his song, but the card, I could be with it without it. You know, I'm indifferent on that one. I don't play it too much, but when I do, it feels good. But it's not my favorite card to play. But I love the song.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Be Prepared, I do agree, is a pretty cool song in general, and I love Scar from Lion King. Number 5, your favorite item card.
Item card. Ooh. I only know the ones I played with a bunch of, but I do like Lucky Dime. It's a really cool idea, and I've tried building decks that kind of just make a bunch of items and have there's a character in this set that untaps an item when you quest with it. So like I tried doing like a whole turbo, like I think it was Amber Sapphire, to like get a ton of ink, and then in one turn, like you have that thing that untaps out, you play Lucky Dime, you play Tamatoa, and then you just like do it twice on the same thing. And this is like, 20 something ink in play.
Yeah,
which can happen, but no, I think that's one of my favorite ones because it offers an alternate win condition for some decks that normally can't break through, and doesn't make it so that your Ruby Amethyst can just kill everything. Like this lets it so you at least get something out of it, and it's really cool. And it's a dime, like I don't know, Scrooge McDuck's dime. I guess his first dime, isn't it? I think.
I like what you just mentioned there after you said the item. It's really cool to hear that competitive players like you that are really, really good also place decks that you can have fun with. We know for sure that Lucky Dime is not going to be tier 1 anytime soon. Maybe someday, right? Who knows? Who knows, right? But as of now, we don't see it at the top alongside Steel Song and Ember Amethyst and all those other cards or decks. But it's cool to hear from a competitive player that you play cards like that for fun and enjoy it. Yeah, it's
a powerful card. I mean, being able to just always have the ability to gain ink, and your opponent can't do anything about it unless they can remove this item in play. It's pretty nice. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that would be it, because we've been talking for a while now. Usually, I would end the show with you having to say anything you want to say to people. But before we go on to that, I just wanted to say that everyone, if you haven't done it yet, go straight to the description after you hear this and click all the links that Brennan has over there. Show some love and support for our guest tonight, and make sure to click the follow and the subscribe button and all that stuff, so you can see his journey as well in Disney Lorcana, if he's gonna be the very first world champion in Lorcana. So, and that's a mystery right now, but we know for sure that he's a candidate for that. Is there anything you want to tell our viewers for today, Brennan?
No, just thanks for taking the time and listening. I know sometimes I ramble, so I appreciate staying with us there. But no, thanks everyone. Have fun playing games, and hopefully, it'd be more fun. I think it'd be more fun if I did well at this event and you kind of put this up at the same time. So I'm crossing my fingers for that.
Let's do that.
Just for fun. We'll see.
Just let me be second. I'll be happy with second place.
You get the pass down, okay. Because I don't know much about Teo's Invitational thing at all. There's no real details for it. She won't provide any, which is, I get it. But, I'm excited for whatever it is. It should be fun.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for being here. I really, really appreciate that. And it's okay to keep talking on these type of shows, because this is what the show is about. Us talking and expressing ourselves and our love for the game. Other than that, thank you again for being here. And everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation between me and Brennan. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and all that stuff. And go on the links as well. Peace. Spots. But long story short, the very first part of it was me and Brennan talking about if he collects and if he goes to LGS, which he does. I believe it was every Wednesdays. I'm pretty sure it was every Wednesdays that he said that he goes to his LGS and he plays there to catch up with friends and the people of the community from Disney Lorcana, and possibly Magic the Gathering as well, because he played a lot of Magic the Gathering, and he plays a lot of fun decks there too. He doesn't always bring the Ultra Megatonic meta decks. He would play different decks, whatever he's feeling, and whatever he want to have fun with. Another thing that we talked about is the beginning of the circuit. Well, actually the collection part first. So basically the collection part, the way he collects is he doesn't necessarily look for every single card to complete the set. I believe he said that set 1 he has completed at least one of every card. Maybe he was missing an Elsa or something, but he would also buy a lot of like Elsa cards and cards that he liked personally, and Elsa cards for his 5-year-old daughter, because she likes Elsa a lot. And another thing that we talked about a lot was the beginning of the circuit. Set 3 or set championships are coming up pretty soon for your local game stores, and the circuit happening. So we just talked about the format of the thing. We did discuss about the money thing. I know it's a big deal, or we both know that it's a big deal for some people in the community, that there's not going to be cash involved on the set championships. Now, we did transfer that conversation into the circuit, if that's another thing that could happen. But there are other prices that we talk about that's possible that you can just incentivize, like winning a case or winning multiple cases, right? Or winning something that you can only get there, and possibly selling it if you do want to make some cash. Another thing that we talk about as well, that it would be a lot of fun if they do these circuits, these regionals, the worlds, if they do it in a Disney location, like a Disneyland and stuff. It would be a great opportunity for Disney as well to promote other Disney stuff. And in general, it would just be cool if you can play the game or the tournament, and at the same time, if you lose, you can just go to Disneyland right off the bat. And if you're one of the people that basically qualified for that, you get a free pass for Disneyland as well, and you can just go to Disneyland if you would have wanted after you lose the match. And other than that, we also discussed the possibility of having an open tournament in the beginning of Worlds before the qualifiers or the people who qualified shows up. So basically like a day for an open tournament, and then the next day you get to join the people who qualified for the tournament. It would be cool to do that. It gives people chances, since everyone can't afford to go to every single Disney Lorcana event. It would be a great way for them to just save up for one big trip and still get a chance to prove themselves if they are worthy of becoming a champion. And another thing that we discuss is comparing Pokemon events to Magic the Gathering to Disney Lorcana, and MagicCon that he went to was filled with so many people, so they can barely find seats, which is a good thing, because we want that for Disney Lorcana. Hopefully there's enough seats for everyone. But also the fact that Pokemon Internationals, when I went there, I mentioned that it was a little underwhelming. It was fun but underwhelming at the same time, because there was only like some stores, and at the same time the only thing that was there was the competitions for Pokemon games and some side events, which still can be competitive as well. We was thinking of since Lorcana has a competitive community, but also has a lot of casual players or people who just enjoys Lorcana in general, that they could still attend these events and have a great time without participating in the competitive event, or without being an ultra megatonic competitor, to be able to enjoy the event. Of course, the fun is always going to be there, because you get to hang out with the community and the people, but it's also nice to have a lot of other not just side events for Lorcana, but just side events in general, like what they're already doing, bringing in artists and signing stuff for the fans. I think that would be great if they keep doing that. And I also think that it would be great if they add more than just artists signing. So long story short, we had a technical difficulty. That part of the conversation, I kind of just like doing a rap god thing there. I'm trying to catch you guys up as fast as I can, but let's go into the main interview, which was 45 minutes long. The part that got cut was like 5-10 minutes. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'm going to stop rambling now, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Enjoy.